Hi, my name is Joel Hindley. My capstone presentation will be over sleep deficiency in teenagers. The buzz of my alarm sounds at 7 a.m. every single morning. That's the latest I can wake up and still make it to school on time. It doesn't account for eating breakfast or brushing my teeth or letting my dog out. But what it does account for is the 5 minutes I have to lay in bed, moping and whining, all while leaving my alarm on so I don't fall back asleep. Well, why do I do that to myself? It's not easy, but I want to get the most amount of sleep possible. I typically fall asleep around 11:30 or 12 at night, allowing for 7 hours of rest at the most. As you can tell, that is not an ideal amount of sleep. Now, that all sounds pretty bad, but I'm known for having a relatively healthy sleep schedule among my friends, peers. What we are seeing in this modern age is an increase in sleep deficiency in teenagers across the world. Now, there are a variety of reasons for this and a variety of issues it is causing. Now, there is a direct correlation between sleep deficiency in childhood and stunted growth. When a child or a teenager does not get the correct amount of sleep, the body has a much more difficult time producing growth hormones. Studies show people who reported sleep deficiency in childhood grew a below average amount compared to those who reported they did not have sleep deficiency issues. And although there are a variety of other factors regarding growth, such as nutrients, genetics, the effect of proper sleep cannot be understated. Sleep also has a great effect on a teenager's mental performance. An insufficient amount of sleep will result in a teenager being much less cognitively aware. Another study shows that students who pull all-nighters studying score much lower than students who only spend a few hours studying but get the right amount of sleep. Mental tasks such as attention, reasoning, and articulation are made much more difficult by a lack of sufficient sleep. This has a significant impact on a teenager's school experience. Teenagers who get more sleep were found to enjoy school significantly more than teenagers who didn't get enough. Teenagers will also find that missing hours upon hours of sleep will result in pretty extreme physical fatigue. Although food and water are the fuel your body needs, sleep is the oil. It allows for your muscles to rest. This is especially important for people and students who participate in active activities throughout the day. Sleep is the time when your muscles regenerate from being broken down after using them. Now, if all of this is true, then why do teenagers still get an insufficient amount of sleep? Well, technology plays a large role in disrupting sleep in teenagers. While it's unclear the effects of using technology during the day, screens up to 2 hours before bed can disrupt the teenager's circadian rhythm. This is due to the blue light technology present in most screens today. Blue lights can trick brain sensors into believing that it is still daylight outside. But what is a circadian rhythm, and why does it matter if we think it's daylight? Well, a circadian rhythm is dictated by the cycle of day and night. It, in turn, controls your pattern of sleep. When the circadian rhythm is followed, it results in awareness, energy, and optimal hormone regulation. There are 4 phases in the circadian rhythm. As people age, their circadian rhythm changes. The first phase is when energy is at its very lowest. In teenagers, this occurs from around 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. Depending on the environment and the internal clock, they may not even feel awake until 9 a.m. The second phase occurs from around 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is when the body temperature starts rising and energy increases drastically. This results in alertness, sharpness, and energy. In the afternoon, around 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. for teenagers, the energy starts to dip. This occurs even earlier in adults, around 1 to 3. Finally, around 9 to 11 p.m., or when it starts to get dark, the internal clock will realize it's time for bed and release melatonin. However, the last phase is disrupted by blue lights. Now, the solution may seem incredibly simple to all of you. Just stop using screens before bed. But that is much, much easier said than done. Modern technology, specifically social media, has been designed to retain attention for as long as physically possible. Short-form content such as Instagram or TikTok is designed to unlock short bursts of dopamine and keep users addicted. Although this works for all ages, teenagers and children are especially susceptible. This can lead to individuals scrolling for hours upon hours upon hours on end, even when they're supposed to be doing something else, such as sleeping. Another reason young adults may be struggling with sleep deficiency is feeling as if they lack control over their time during the day. Many teenagers feel as if they have no jurisdiction over their actions during typical waking hours. This is especially common in students. If a teenager's time is taken up by things they have to or don't want to do, they may grow frustrated and try to reclaim that time during hours they should be sleeping. This often works in conjunction with the previous issue, with many teens reclaiming their time by scrolling through social media. And a lot of teenagers are simply uninformed on the dangers of not getting enough sleep. Many teenagers do not have trusted adults or peers providing them with the information they need. They have no idea how much of an impact their actions are having on their lives. Many teenagers will point to other issues, such as mental health or physical illness, as to why they're not feeling well, before realizing they are sleep deficient. Although those issues can be a cause, they can also be a symptom. Now, after hearing all this, you're probably wondering, well, how should one go about altering their sleep schedule to become more healthy? First, you have to recognize the root of the issue. You have to make a commitment to personally changing and fixing the issue. If an outside source, such as a parent, attempts to enforce a healthier sleep schedule, it will have a much lesser chance of success. Teenagers especially are not ideal subjects for commands detailing large changes in their lives. They are much more likely to respond with resentment or rebellion if they're not making the decision themselves. Once you decide to make a change in your sleep schedule, you need to examine your screen time and adjust if needed. If you find that a significant portion of your screen time occurs 2 hours before bed, then you know you need to adjust. Treatments for this issue can include just turning your phone off, going into settings and disabling blue lights, or just indulging yourself in a hobby or another activity 2 hours before bed. Activities like reading, journaling, or playing an instrument can be great for distracting you from your phone and helping you sleep better at night. Anything that helps you stay off the phone or other screens containing blue lights can be very useful. Now, if the issue is having dominion over your own time, I would recommend participating in an active activity or taking up a more time-consuming hobby. This way, you'll feel more in control over your daytime so that you feel more comfortable sleeping at night. Taking ownership of your body and your actions is extremely beneficial for getting good sleep. Now, it's my experience that a good night's sleep can only be helpful. During my time at Sterling, I have encountered many nights of good sleep and many nights of bad sleep. In particular, I recall the stress of having a geometry test, but not enough time to study for it. I decided to just take my chances and go to sleep instead of staying up late studying. Although the score I received on that test was not significant enough to remember, what I do remember was the rest of the day, feeling well rested, happy, content, energetic, all of the things that come with getting a sufficient amount of sleep. So today, I issue you a challenge. Take into consideration the issues, causes, and solutions I presented to you today. Make a change in your sleep schedule tonight, whether it's turning off your phone or reading a book before bed. There are active steps you can implement immediately. Just try it for a day, or a week, or a month. See how your life changes for the better when you get good sleep. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes.
Being an educator, if you did get the right amount of sleep and you're not, blowing at yourself and you do discipline yourself, when is the optimal time of learning during the day?
Of learning? Okay. I would say a lot of the research I did found that schools starting at 8 a.m. is not optimal for learning. There was a study that I found that showed that starting closer to 9 or 10 a.m. Was a lot more efficient when teaching students. So I would say probably like 9, 10 a.m. to around like 3 p.m.
So you'd want Dr. Gatto's class like at 10.
Yeah.
We'll let him know.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm curious about the spiritual alignment. Do you feel like our struggle with sleep or falling into what is a natural rhythm of our body as Christ aligned it has anything to do with our relationship with Him or our struggle with sin?
Yeah, I would say that I think as people we do struggle to take care of ourselves in the way that God meant for us to. I think that in our relationship with sin, we tend to fall to a lot of temptations such as technology, when we really should be honoring Him by taking care of our bodies. You often hear that your body is a temple and that you should be treating it as such, and I think that's something that we really struggle with. And by sort of getting in that mindset of really taking care of yourself, I think you can grow closer to God. Yes.
Other cultures have used the siesta as a way of recharging or regenerating or recovering after meals, perhaps, but also a way of preparing themselves for an afternoon of effort. Did any of your research look at other methods such as midday naps as being a way to help an individual?
Yeah, I did look at some research regarding naps. Typically, naps during the day are not ideal. If they are necessary, like if you're feeling extremely fatigued, they can be a short-term solution. But ideally, in the long term, you want to get enough sleep every night so you don't have to take naps during the day.
Okay, so having an uninterrupted amount of REM sleep, is that where your body is? Well, REM sleep is one, because you have deep sleep and then you have REM sleep, right? So making sure you get enough deep sleep, but also having REM sleep. Did you get into the types of sleep that are required and how much time it takes to actually become optimal in your sleep?
Yeah, a little bit. So those different phases can have different lengths of time depending on the person, but generally the rule is that more than 8 hours of sleep is good, less than 10 hours of sleep. So if you hit in between those two times, then you'll get
So I guess that's kind of like saying, well, it's good to have fixed meals throughout the day.
Yeah.
Snacks are okay, but don't overdo it, because if you mess up the the actual feeding cycle, that would also be disrupted. So you're saying a good night's sleep is very important, and although napping may be a help, it's not going to supplant a good night's sleep.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yes.
Real quick, did you come across any creative efforts that mental health officials or schools are using to encourage students toward healthy sleep?
Yeah, so I found some schools that were pushing back their start times to like 9 or 10, and they were having success with that. There are definitely sort of movements happening, trying to educate students about the importance of getting sleep. Yeah, there are definitely some schools like really trying to push that information out and make sure that students understand how beneficial it is.
I've got one more to follow up on Ms. McKinney's question. It's a long shot, I'm just curious if you happen to hit upon it. Does prayer before bed bring any peace and a deeper sleep?
I mean, although I haven't found anything about that in my research, I would imagine it would. You know, taking just a peaceful moment and like calming your body down, calming yourself down, I could definitely see that being very beneficial. Like meditation, prayer, stuff like that would definitely probably help you fall asleep faster, in my opinion.
All right, thank you, Joel. Oh, one more question.
Yes.
Do teenagers have any special sleep needs that maybe other age groups do not?
Yeah, typically teenagers will require a little bit more sleep. It is recommended that teenagers get around 9 hours of sleep rather than 8, just because they're growing and the hormone regulation is a lot different in your teenage years than the rest of your life. So it is recommended that they get a little bit more, but yeah.
I'd like to follow up on that one a
Yeah.
little bit. Can you catch up on Saturday? If you're not getting it through the week the way you are, do you need, you can do an 11 or 12-hour stint? Does that kind of help the teenager?
Kind of. When you don't get enough sleep, okay, you may notice when you don't get enough sleep one night, you may wake up feeling well rested the next morning and be kind of confused. But then the next day, you wake up incredibly tired no matter how much sleep you've got. There is a concept that's known as sleep debt. So not getting a sufficient amount of sleep in previous days can make you much more tired in the next day. So let's say you've only gotten 6 hours of sleep 3 nights in a row, then going to sleep, not setting an alarm, you might sleep for 11 hours or something. So your body does tend to kind of remember that you haven't gotten a sufficient amount of sleep, and it will sort of force you to catch up on that eventually.
All right, so in summation, Joel has set a perfect case for teenagers sleeping till 12 on the weekends. Thank you, Joel, very much.